So huge thanks to Luke Hamill, more so this month because you're co-hosting or hosting. I'm so used to saying co-hosting, but you're actually hosting on your own
Yeah.
the Central London Evening Property Network, and it's a phenomenal meeting. I wish I could attend. I'm jealous, to be fair. Um, Fiona Talbot, it's taken me quite a while to bring Fiona into the meet. As she says, it's been over a year, probably a year and a half, 2 years. To have a legend in the property industry coming all the way from Cambridgeshire. Plus, there's a marketing panel as well, marketing branding. I was speaking to Andy Bardry before this call, Luke. It was interesting. One thing I said to Andy is, I wanted to prep him on one of the questions, and I've got huge respect for Andy because he's now a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Marketing. I said to Andy, one of the questions which I want to really get answered that particular evening, this coming Thursday, is focused on build to rent sector. People got different ways, different strategies, buy to hold, buy to sell. Of course, people always looking at different strategies, and one of the strategies is buy or build to rent. Although some people are put off because they're thinking it's just the big boys who can do it. So that's one of the questions. How can smaller developers, smaller investors, small to medium-sized developers take advantage of that particular strategy against the big guns? What are you particularly looking forward to, Luke? And first of all, huge thanks for saying yes, you host the meet by yourself. You've been there for the last 4 years anyway, or it will be in July. Yeah, I'm amazed. It's gone very quickly. That's what I saw on your LinkedIn profile. When I looked on LinkedIn, it said hosted since July 2014. It may even been before. Yeah.
I don't know. It's more of the same. Just keeping on hosting and meeting people, building relationships with people, working with people, and seeing where to go. So the dynamics are always changing, aren't they? So build to rent, that's an option. Developing, as I've been doing this year, and working with other developers to build relationships there to do some joint ventures in the future.
What I was discussing with Andy beforehand, I wish I could have done the Zoom call with Andy, but I was literally on the road, was, as I say, focusing on the build to rent sector. That's one thing. But also it was interesting, the conversation I had with Andy. He said that, there's lots of commercial developments which have taken place, and they're not an absolutely amazing standard. So that's why or smaller size rooms, for example. And that's why it's key to make sure the marketing is as good as possible. Luke, I know you've been involved in property for the last 18 years now. Is that right, roughly?
Is it really about that? Maybe.
Yeah. So have you seen marketing become more important in the last 18 years? And if so, how?
Social media, more the immediacy of social media, the need to be involved more. That's the big change.
So you've got your own portfolio in, I think, near university, and you've worked closely with other people who've built profiles as well. So one of your key strategies, Luke, is buy to rent. People literally. You're not a trader. I don't think you've ever been a trader. Is that right, Luke?
I've been slow trading. I've done a lot of sales the last 2-3 years, but obviously that was as a reaction to tax changes and the need to reduce debt. But yeah, and also taking an opportunity. Sometimes, circumstances, it's also good. I think in the southeast, it's probably a fair strategy to just hold. Maybe other places that are not quite as solid, is still depreciation. So.
And Luke, just to go on to the subject of it's great to see welcome back at Wasim. So Wasim's back.
Yeah.
So I'm off, but Wasim's back. We'll go back to normal in September. So I'll be back in September. I know Angela Bryant's
going. So you're taking off next month, and August there is no meet.
Yeah, there is a meet, although it's going to be at Wandsworth. Yeah. So the next Central London Evening meet is in September. Okay. I'm sure I'm going to do something for my members only. I'm waiting also from one of my sponsors who may do something specifically for my members. Luke, just to go on to Fiona Talbot very briefly, you've met Fiona. What's your experience of Fiona?
Oh, she's a very impressive individual. So looking forward to hearing how she's grown her business. And there's a lot of lessons in that for everybody that can attend. So do your best to, I'd say to anyone that's watching this,
what do you find
to get down, and also do your best not to rush off at the end, because rather than obviously if you've got a train to catch, it's different. But if you at all can stay, do hang around at the end, because that's when you get to sort of talk to people, let their hair down, and just build relationships with people.
What do you find so impressive about Fiona?
Just how she's come over from another country, raised finance, and just, I suppose, develop the habits that you need to succeed. Just habits of diligence and just taking action. So that's what I would say most impressive about Fiona. So we look forward to hear, what drives her and how she has achieved what she's achieved. Yeah.
So just to summarise the event, which is this coming Thursday, 28th of June. So there's going to be updates from Piotr Ryskinek and Wasim Hawerka, focus on auctions, Piotr and Wasim finance, before moving on to the panel chaired by Aaron Yahara, who's going to ask all those tough questions to the panelists, Brad Lazarus, Ryan Carruthers, and Andy Bardry, before moving on to the elevator pitch, where people got a chance to showcase what they do, complying with all financial regulations, of course, and then going into the networking break, and then after that, going into the presentation by Fiona. As Luke says, though, the event doesn't quite finish at 9:20 when Fiona says, that's it. The end of her presentation, because that's just the beginning in certain respects, Luke, as you're going to be popping up to the bar, I believe, and turning left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a nice, elegant place, isn't it? Really comfortable and just fun. So it's just good fun to build relationships, get to ask questions that you sort of might not have thought of as people were speaking. So you can talk to people one to one. So yeah, definitely recommend you hang back and come to the bar.
Sure. And Luke, just to briefly say, so September, as I say, Angela Bryan, author, twice now. Also Richard Takani from London Property Licensing as well. So he's got an encyclopedia knowledge of everything to do with licenses, to do with HMOs. Yeah. October, I haven't quite confirmed. I want it to be a health-focused systemization evening. So maybe yourself, Luke, can be involved in that. Wasim talking about income protection. Yeah. And then November, that's already been confirmed. Mark Stokes is the main speaker, and the commercial panel. So Anil Mahanal, Jay Howard of Auction House London, and also Ranjan Bhattacharya. So Luke, I'm just rattling on because I'm not going to have a chance to say anything on Thursday, which is
so lots to come for the rest of the year.
Sure. I just want to say huge thanks to yourself, Luke. Huge thanks to the team as well, who are going to keep Thursday on time. So we've got Joanna Lawrence ensuring that there's plenty of time for networking as well. Thanks, Luke, and thank you to the listeners as well. Thanks. Bye for the moment.
Thursday. See you. Take care.
Okay.